All right, guys, I got a challenge for you. We are trying to get to 89,000 subscribers by the end of Monday. We're going to be live Monday for day one of free agency, the legal tampering period. So we got some time, and Monday's show should help us out. But I want to get to 89,000 subs by the time I wake up on Tuesday. Can we do it? If you want free daily Bears content, subscribe right now. We're 524 subs away from that benchmark. It would be a huge help to us. We greatly appreciate it. I'm Harrison Graham, and Chicago Bears Now is sponsored by 8 Sleep. If you're looking to improve your sleep metrics, well, we got the perfect product from you, the pod cover from 8 Sleep. Get $200 off at 8sleep.com/chatsports. I'll tell you more about that product here in just a little bit. Okay, I wanted to take a look at some blockbuster free agents for the Chicago Bears. 3 players on offense, 3 players on defense that the Bears could try to sign. Now, blockbuster, kind of big name in some case, big impact in others, maybe not. Depends on how these teams view them at this point, but we're going to dive into it here. Let's start with some defensive guys, then we'll get to the offensive side of the ball. Christian Wilkins, who's kind of the big name out there. It was a bit of a surprise in NFL circles when the Dolphins did not franchise tag the defensive tackle who was coming off a career year with Miami, had a career high in sacks. He's always been a premier run stuffer. And I think what's nice about Wilkins, too, is look at the durability. He's played in all 17 games over the last 3 years, which for interior linemen on either side of the football is not an easy thing to do. You could argue outside of Kirk Cousins and Chris Jones, who as of filming this hasn't re-signed, but very well could with the Chiefs by the time you watch this, is the biggest, sexiest, splashiest, whatever word you want to use, blockbuster free agent on the market. And reports suggest that this contract will be massive. Like, I've seen the baseline, $22 million. Like, topping Quinnen Williams, Jeffrey Simmons, all those dudes that signed last year. And it makes sense because assuming Chris Jones re-signs with Kansas City, he's the top interior defensive lineman. The cap went up. He is going to have several bidders at his services, which brings us to the Bears. Will the Bears get in on this? And I've thought for a little bit throughout this week, like, yeah, they should be in on it. And I'm not saying they shouldn't, but they already have 3 big defensive contracts handed out. They gave Tremaine Edmonds 4 years and $72 million last year. They gave Montez Sweat 4 years and $98 million. And they gave Jalen Johnson just now 4 years and $76 million. Sweat and Johnson love the deals. Edmonds, not a great first year, but, we'll see. The good news about his, if they really wanted to get out of it next year, they could. The point is, in the modern NFL, do you want to hand out yet another big defensive contract? Because if we're being real, it's time to allocate resources to the offensive side of the football. Now, at the same time, the free agency pool is the free agency pool. Like, Christian Wilkins fills a position of need on that defensive tackle position, and he's arguably the top free agent available, and the Bears have cap space. So you're kind of finding that balance of, well, yeah, we need to invest in offense, but the free agent pool is better on defense. The draft is better for offense. So, if you're kind of projecting ahead 6 weeks from now, you can invest more in the draft. You have less picks for the draft, though, now than you once did. So it's a tough balance. Here's what I will say. You absolutely can pay Christian Wilkins, especially if you end up drafting a quarterback because you have a rookie contract at quarterback for the next 4 or 5 years, and that's how you can have all these expensive contracts. But again, I do subscribe to the idea of eventually you want to pay guys on the offensive side of the ball. Like, the Bears have got to catch up with the modern times in a certain extent. I have no problem paying Jalen Johnson. It was a hell of a move. Not paying him would have been a mistake. But do you go out there and do it again? I'm not saying no, but I'm not like as all in on the idea as I was even 2 days ago, like when I've really sat down and thought about it. So I want you guys to chime in here. Would you give Christian Wilkins over $20 million per year? Because that's what it's going to take. Type Y for yes or type in for no. Again, I'm not saying no. I'm just not as all in on the idea as I once was. Same with Danielle Hunter. Like Danielle Hunter, really good player, was really all in on this idea as recently as a couple weeks ago. The numbers are great. Like, he's a good player. I will say this. I sat down with Brad Spielberger at the NFL Combine. He hopped on here and basically said, look, Hunter's a good player, but you look at the advanced numbers, the Vikings blitzed a lot, gave Danielle Hunter more one-on-one looks, free lanes at times. kind of skewed the stats a little bit. Now, I still like Danielle. I still think he'd be a huge upgrade on this defensive line, but I have cooled on him a bit for mostly the same reason of, do I want to give out another big contract to a defensive player? And especially in Hunter's case, he is going to be 30 this next season. So, I'm not going to be upset if it happens, but like, I'm not going to be upset if it doesn't, if that makes sense. Like, I look at this defensive line, and yes, you need another premier player. Like, it can't just be Montez Sweat and a bunch of misfits. I understand. I like Andrew Billings, good run stuffer. Javon Dexter, Zach Pickens, two young players that have an opportunity to take a year to jump this year. We'll see if Justin Jones comes back. I think you need to upgrade over DeMarcus Walker and make him more of a heavy rotation piece. I think that kind of tier 2 edge market, though, kind of makes more sense. Maybe like a Bryce Huff. We'll see what Jonathan Grenard's price tag ends up being. Maybe you go get a Zadarius Smith, a Jadeveon Clowney on a 1 or 2 year deal, someone like that. Chase Young, I don't love that idea, but if you want to go cheaper, you could do that. So, again, it's just a dangerous game when you just load up big contracts on one side of the football because you're asking young, cheap players to overproduce their contracts offensively. And eventually the Bears got to hold up their end of the bargain on the offensive side of the ball as well. We can't put so much pressure on whoever the quarterback's going to be. So got to invest on that side as well. Today's show is sponsored by 8 Sleep, the new high-tech solution to end your age-old sleeping issues. 8 Sleep's Pod 3 cover slips right over your mattress, bringing heating and cooling technology to keep you comfortable and sleeping deeper for a better, more restful night. I've had my Pod 3 for a few months now, and I've never slept better. Sleep science shows that in order to sleep our best, our body temperature needs to drop in the early and middle part of sleep and then rise again in the morning. The pod cover will improve your sleep by automatically adjusting your bed's temperature based on your individual needs. It can be added to any bed like a fitted sheet and allows you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed by as low as 55 degrees up to 110 degrees. Love that versatility, especially if you have a partner that you sleep with. Not only does it keep you at the perfect temperature all night, the pod also tracks your sleep and health metrics, guys. This is huge. On average, users their sleep quality improved by 32% after just 1 month on the pod. You can trust me on that. I've been sick the last couple of days. This thing has been a lifesaver, making me feel fresh here, coming in to film a few videos. 8sleep.com/chat sports. That /chat sports gets you $200 off. Go check out the Pod 3 cover from 8 Sleep. It syncs up with an app on your phone. You can monitor those metrics. Link is in the comments and in the description. 8sleep.com/chat sports. How about Justin Simmons, who just hit the free agent market a couple of days ago? The Denver Broncos, I would say, it made one of the more surprising cuts so far heading into free agency. They were in a tricky cap spot, so they were going to have to make some sort of moves. Did not necessarily see this one coming. I thought maybe they would restructure. I thought a team might even bite on a trade, but maybe not considering how many safeties are available. I like Justin Simmons a lot. He's still really good. I know he's 30 now, but 3 picks last year, 8 pass breakups. You could argue this is still a top 5 free safety in the sport. And obviously the Bears need a free safety. Jaquan Brisker is a very good player at strong, but with Eddie Jackson gone, you don't have a starting caliber player at free safety. It's a clear need on this roster. Elijah Hicks is a fine third safety. He's not a starter, though. But again here, I think in this case, I probably would pass for a different reason. I love Justin Simmons, but there's 10-plus starting caliber safeties on the open market. Like, it's deep, guys. So, like, I think Justin Simmons is going to be one of 2 or 3 guys that might still get over $10 million per year. I can get a guy for $4 million, $5 million. That's 75-80% of the player. And look, obviously you want the best of the best, but you can't do that at every position. You already have a veteran safety, or a veteran defensive back group. You just pay Jalen Johnson. Like, you don't have to go big at free safety either. Like, the secondary was awesome last year with a diminished Eddie Jackson. As long as you get that level of play, or at least a little bit better for a pretty cheap price tag, that's perfectly fine with me. Spend big money elsewhere. Again, I like Justin Simmons. If he gets into that $8 million range for whatever reason, I'm in. But if I'm going to go big on defense, give me the defensive lineman. Give me the guy that can go wreck the quarterback like Christian Wilkins. All right, let's go to the offensive side of the ball here with our blockbuster free agent targets offense now. Calvin Ridley. I've gone back and forth on Calvin Ridley. I firmly believe he is not a true number 1 receiver anymore. But he is about as good of a number 2 as you're going to find in the NFL. 1,000-yard season in his first full season back from the gambling probe issue, the personal issue from the year before, etc. 8 touchdowns. I mean, that's pretty good after having about a year and a half off. He would be an excellent number 2 to DJ Moore, who's obviously established himself as this team's number 1 receiver. And for those reasons, and for the reasons I mentioned earlier, like you need to start investing offensively, I'd be in for the right price. Now, I'm not going to give him $25 million a year, and I could see some team throwing crazy money at him because with T. Higgins getting tagged and with Mike Evans re-signing in Tampa, like Ridley's the clear top wide receiver. It's like him, and then it's like Darnell Mooney and Marquise Brown and number 3 type of guys. Calvin Ridley, and per some teams, is going to be a number 1 receiver. He wouldn't be for the Bears, but would I give him 18 a year? 3 for 55? Something like that? I think I would probably do that. Now, part of the calculus the Bears have to play is how do they feel about the draft? Are they trying to get a Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze? Because if they are, then you probably don't spend big on Calvin Ridley. And in an ideal world, you would get one of those guys in the draft and then maybe sign a number 3 type of receiver, like bring back Mooney or go get Curtis Samuel or someone like that. But if you're unsure if you can get one of those big dogs in the draft, Calvin Ridley on a 2 or 3 year deal at 18 per isn't that bad if that's what the market ends up being. The market's key here. I'm not giving him true wide receiver 1 money, but if you can get him at less than $20 million per year, I'd probably consider it. Are you in on Calvin Ridley? Type I for in or O for out. I'm in for the right price. Under $20 million per year, I'm in on Ridley. Over, it's a little bit rich for my tasting, but he's still a productive player. He'll catch 60 to 80 balls and probably have 1,000 yards for the next couple of years. So definitely a good player. We're going to reveal these two together, a couple of running backs, and I'm not including Josh Jacobs. We're talking Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. To me, these are the top 2 big-name blockbuster running backs, in my opinion, because I thought Jacobs just fell off way more than these two did last year. Doesn't mean he can't bounce back, but I just like these two players better. I think they're better fits. There's reports out there that the Bears are interested in Barkley and Jacobs. There hasn't been a lot of Henry buzz, but we are talking Henry here on this show. Obviously, different skill sets. You look at their numbers last year. Henry was the better runner. Obviously, he doesn't give you what Saquon does as a receiving back, but you look last year, other than the touchdowns receiving-wise, it's not like Barkley lit it up either. And I think that's been a misconception about Barkley. Like, this is not a guy who's going to catch 80 balls or something like that. He'll catch 40 or 50, be a check down guy, run the occasional route, etc. But call me crazy, I like Henry better. I think he's a better, more consistent runner. I think he's going to be cheaper as well. All the projections out there is that Barkley's, probably $12 million per year, may get a 3-year deal. Henry's probably 1 or 2 year deal, $10 million or so per year. And I think just as a pure runner, Derrick Henry's better. Like, the numbers suggest that. And by the way, he has not always played behind good offensive lines in Tennessee. Like, the one Chicago is going to have this year if they, figure out this center thing, and we'll see if it's Ryan Bates or someone else, but should be better than what he had in Tennessee last year, and he still averaged 4.2 yards per carry a year ago. When defenses knew he was the focal point. So you put him in there, Khalil Herbert's your change of pace back, and then Roschon Johnson can be like your, 3rd and long, check down, pass protection type of guy. Like, I just think a guy like Derrick Henry, and yes, Saquon Barkley too, these are guys you can lean on if you have a rookie quarterback. And that appears to be the direction the Bears are going in. And let's be honest, regardless of position, you need more playmakers on offense. I'm not opposed to one of those guys being a running back, as long as it's on a short-term deal, even if you have to slightly overpay to do it on a short-term deal. Bears have money. You could do a 2-year deal for $20 million for Derrick Henry. I would sign up for that in a heartbeat. And I just imagine the snow coming out of the sky at Soldier Field in December and January. You got a lot on the line in a big divisional game. Just give Henry the ball 25 times, man. It's going to be hard to tackle that dude at Soldier Field. So I like that idea a lot. I don't know if the Bears feel the same, but I suppose we'll find out next week. Biggest free agent the Bears will sign. Who is it? Drop a name in the comment section down below. And don't forget to join us on Monday for our day 1 free agency coverage. What will Ryan Poles do to get things going in the legal tampering period? If you see this thumbnail, this photo on your YouTube app, that means you're in the right place. That is where our live coverage will be. Click on it, and we'll be breaking down everything surrounding the Bears, NFL. We'll have a full free agency tracker, keep tabs on every single move that happens on day one of free agency. Plan is to be live for several hours, so do not miss out. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll be back tomorrow with one last video before the start of free agency, so stay tuned.